Why do you keep doing something you know is destroying you? Have you ever asked yourself that? Why, despite knowing the consequences, do you return to the same habits over and over again? Maybe it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, social media, food, or something else entirely. You tell yourself you'll stop. You promise this will be the last time, but then the urge comes back, and before you know it, you're caught in the same cycle. Is it because you're weak? Because you lack discipline? Because you're simply not trying hard enough? Society would have you believe that. Addiction is often framed as a failure of willpower, as if those who suffer from it simply aren't strong enough to resist temptation. But what if that's not true? What if addiction has nothing to do with willpower at all? Carl Jung and Gabor Mate offer a very different perspective. They argue that addiction isn't the problem itself, it's a symptom of something deeper. It's not about the substance or behavior, it's about what's underneath it. Addiction isn't about seeking pleasure, it's about escaping pain. The unseen prison of addiction. At first glance, addiction seems to be about external factors. The alcohol, the drugs, the phone, the food. These appear to be the enemy. But Jung believed that what truly traps a person is not the addiction itself, but the conflict buried deep within their mind. He spoke of the shadow, the hidden, rejected parts of ourselves that we refuse to acknowledge. When we suppress them, they don't disappear. They grow in power, influencing our actions from the unconscious. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This means that addiction isn't random. It's not just a bad habit. It's an expression of something deeper, something unresolved. The addiction is a symptom. The real cause is the pain it's trying to cover up. Gabor Mate takes this idea even further. He has spent years studying addiction and has found that at its core, addiction is not about the substance or the habit. It's about suffering. He asks, don't ask why the addiction, ask why the pain, and that changes everything. The root of addiction, trauma and emotional pain. Mate argues that addiction is almost always rooted in trauma, not necessarily the kind of trauma you see in movies, big, obvious moments of abuse or violence, but the quieter, more insidious kind. The kind that happens when a child doesn't feel loved, when they feel invisible, when they grow up in an environment where they learn that they are only valued if they behave a certain way. Many addicts don't even realize they are carrying trauma. They may not have been physically harmed, but they were emotionally neglected. They never felt truly seen or accepted. And when a child doesn't receive the love and security they need, they grow up with a deep, unfillable emptiness. That emptiness doesn't go away. It lingers, waiting. And eventually, the person finds something that makes them feel better, even if just for a moment. Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's attention from others. Whatever it is, it offers temporary relief from the pain, and that's how addiction begins. Jung believed that when we don't confront our inner wounds, they find ways to manifest in our behavior. Addiction is one of those ways. It's not the disease, it's the symptom. Rebuilding identity beyond addiction. One of the greatest challenges in overcoming addiction is that, for many, it has become part of their identity. They don't just struggle with addiction, they see themselves as addicts. And that label, whether given by others or adopted internally, can become a prison of its own. Jung believed in a process called individuation, the journey of becoming one's true self. For an addict, this means shedding the identity they have built around their addiction and creating a new one. But that new identity cannot be based on simply not using. It must be based on something meaningful, something that gives life purpose beyond addiction. True recovery isn't about returning to who you were before addiction. It's about becoming someone new, someone who has faced their pain, integrated their past, and built a future that isn't dictated by trauma. The choice to heal. The psychology of addiction isn't about weakness, it's about pain. And pain, when confronted with awareness and support, can be transformed into growth. The real question is not, how do I quit? But rather, what pain do I need to heal so that I no longer need this addiction? Both Jung and Mattei agree on one fundamental truth. Healing begins the moment you stop running from yourself. The addiction was never the true enemy. The real enemy was the suffering you tried to escape. And the moment you choose to face that suffering instead of fleeing from it, that is the moment true healing begins.